Hey, it's Rich, and you're listening to the Mature Me podcast, weekly content devoted to all things life, leadership, culture, and faith. Thank you for taking some time to tune in. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on all our social channels so you don't miss a thing. Let's listen to today's episode. Well, hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the Mature Me podcast. My name is Rich Wilkerson Jr., and I'm so glad that you are joining us. Not sure where you're at in the world, but it's always a privilege, always an honor to get to come into your earwaves. Is that how you say it? Your airwaves, your earwaves? Or maybe you're watching by way of YouTube and get to speak to you for a few moments today. Everything when we're here at Mature Me is all about this idea that we don't just want to grow old, we want to grow up. And hopefully you know today that as you age, it doesn't mean that you're actually maturing. So today we're going to actually learn a little bit more around that topic. And wherever you're at in the world, do us a favor. Share this content, like it, subscribe, leave us a comment. Love hearing people's feedback right there in the comments. But today I'm joined by my good friend Dakota Duron. Dakota, how are we feeling?
Feeling fantastic. Loving the Mature Me podcast episode. Pastor Chad, Pastor Julia.
Very good stuff.
Had me rolling.
Very good stuff.
We're just a few weeks from turning 30. You're turning 40. So, this episode is just reminding me we're right there. But I'm feeling good. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I feel like today's going to be wonderful because we've got a great guest on.
Amen.
And I love when we bring guests on. This guy doesn't need much of an introduction. He is a man of God. He is a world-renowned, Grammy Award-winning, Dove Award-winning, GMA winning. I don't know what those. I'm making up terms now. Songwriter. But let's really be honest. He is the Church of Jesus Christ most eligible bachelor. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, make some noise for Aodhán King in the house.
Hello, hello.
Aodhán, how are we feeling, man?
Really good. I'm pumped to be here.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're really glad we've been calling your agent. Now that you're based in LA, not a part of a church, we've been calling your agent, and no one will get in touch with us. And so,
no, they're hard to get in touch. I haven't actually got in touch with them either.
Yeah.
So
do you have an agent?
I don't. But before we go any further, I think I should clarify. I've never won a Grammy.
Oh, you haven't?
Nor a Dove, but been nominated.
Cut the podcast.
Yeah, nominated.
They told me that you won a Grammy, a Dove.
No. Has that happened
what is a
before where you've
GMA?
had
Good
to
Morning
correct
America?
like that? Like, is that important to do?
I don't know. I just felt like it.
Yeah.
I want to feel like when it said that I've won a Grammy, that it was true.
There you go.
I've been nominated twice.
You have been nominated.
Yeah.
What is that? How do you find out you get a letter comes in the mail? How's that work?
The first time, it was an Instagram post.
That's how you found out?
Yeah, legitimately.
From the...
Actually, no, we were on a flight from LA to Sydney, and I woke up, turned my phone on, and I had a text from somebody saying, congratulations. And I was like, what are they congratulating me for? And then opened Instagram and saw a post that we'd been nominated.
And that was for a song, an album?
That was for Young and Free Youth Revival album.
What did you do? Just start weeping?
Bro.
Yeah, it was tears of just...
No. Was it? Or no?
But we're actually all on the plane together, all the Young and Free guys. So and we were all just like looking at each other going like,
was it emotional?
There was
just excitement?
There was excitement. I think we didn't know what it was. We knew it was a big deal because I was getting texts from people that normally don't care.
Were you like, I'm the king of the world?
I did, yeah.
You said that?
Yeah, I did.
But you write songs for God, so you can't really celebrate it that way.
I'm the son of
Humility.
the king of the world.
Yeah. I cut off Goliath's head and I held it.
Yeah.
So hold on. You find out on an Instagram post.
Yeah.
What song? What it was for an album or song? I missed that.
So the first one, both of them were for albums. That was
Wow.
Youth Revival, and then the next one was All My Best Friends. It was nominated too.
That's pretty cool.
And
Do you
we
think?
lost to Kanye.
Do you think getting the album is probably cooler than getting the song? Maybe getting the album's cooler than the song because it's like a body of work versus a single song.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's cool because it felt like it was all of ours, like Young and Free. It felt like, the youth ministry as well. It almost felt like we won it together. If it was a song, the song would be amazing too. But it was the album. It was sick.
It's not just those people on the song. It's everybody that helped make the album.
Yeah.
So did you go to the Grammys?
We did. Yeah.
What'd you wear?
I wore a black suit with a
Traditional.
pretty classic. Yeah, no, I kind of wish I dressed like
Crazy?
Yeah, I wish.
Well, if you could have a do-over
Yeah.
today, what are you wearing?
I think I would wear. Well, I probably would wear a suit, but it'd be like looser fitted. It wouldn't be just like the standard tux.
So you went very standard.
Very standard.
Did
which
you
I
pick-
don't regret.
Did you pick it up at the mall or?
A friend actually bought it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, at the mall.
And you went, and then
Nordstrom.
you were there, and you didn't win, and what'd you feel?
Well, we sat in the seats, and it's like you're kind of just waiting there. You're going through all these different things, and you get to the point where, like, all right, who's getting up to do the speech? None of us had considered who is doing it. But it felt obvious that Laura probably should do it.
Yeah.
And so she's like writing the speech, and then, we didn't win.
So I just want to give you an opportunity right now, because one of the things we love to do here at the Mature Me podcast is we love to give people their flowers.
Yep.
Yes.
Another way you could say is we love to give people their Grammy.
Yeah, great.
Because
love that.
I think everybody's a
And
Grammy
Dove.
Award winner. And Dove.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the Dove's even more important in the kingdom of God than
It
the
is.
Grammy.
No, that's true. It is.
So, ladies and gentlemen, young and free, Aodhán King in Europe. What are you going to say? Because it's very short. Try to do it.
Yeah, but wow, this is incredible. Wow. Be looking around, and then I'd say something like, I just want to thank God.
Good.
For
Deep.
this.
That's great.
And I'd probably keep it pretty short like
You
that.
would?
Yeah,
Just
but I want
God?
to thank the team. It's such a great journey.
Let me do
Thanks.
mine because you're not really.
Is there any message
Well,
at
it's
the
more
end of
that-
it
it's
after
more-
the
yeah.
thank
Well, the
you?
thing
Like,
is,
is there
the
any
one-
like
the Grammys
one quote that's
Yeah.
just
I would just,
taking you
you
to
know-
this
I'm going to say
point?
something deep.
The thing is,
All is fair in love and war.
What's-
What's
probably something like
Yeah.
that. The thing is that it's so quick. This part, because we're at the pre-show Grammy, so it's
Yeah.
not like the main Grammy. So like you're up there for about, there's 5 seconds, and then music's playing, and no one cares. So
see.
like if you can see it on the screen, and it looks like this amazing show, but like in the room, people are standing up, walking around, talking. No one is.
It feels
watching
like
you.
a pre-show. Like something's
it's
happening on the
such a
stage.
pre-show.
but
The
I see.
room's scattered. Not many people are in there. People are like talking. So you get up there, and it's like no one cares.
Yeah, but man, here's the thing. I'm a thermostat, not a thermometer. Okay.
Yeah, you set the temperature. I get that.
Okay. This
I
is
wish
part
I
of.
had that.
So Dakota, introduce me. Let's go.
And the Grammy goes to Rich Wilkerson Jr.
Oh. Yeah. All right, Mikey. Oh man. Hey, I just want to first and foremost thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this is possible. I want to thank the writers, the producers, everyone over there at Capitol. We love you guys so much. This is a dream come true for me.
Right.
I just want to say good health, good friends, and God's very best. We love you, Grammys.
Bro, that's insane.
See how I did that
That's
though?
Yeah,
pretty-
I know. I
The
want
di-
that energy.
The maturity in me is I'm going to set that temperature.
In the
Yeah.
end there, you really, it was brief, but it was strong.
All right,
You
you're
know
going to do
what I mean?
yours. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, for his latest country song, Getting Close to Me, Dakota Duron.
All right. I just want to say thank you to the Academy. It's a tremendous honor for me. And I want to shout out my lovely bride. Without you, none of this would be possible. Country music, we're alive and well. We love you. Thank you to my Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. We'll see you later.
I love you, baby Jesus. Country music.
I
feel like you had to
insane.
go country, right?
You gotta give a shout out to the music, to the genre. Worship music, we still live.
Yeah,
You know, like
we still in this thing.
if the rocks won't praise you, I'll cry out. Like, okay, we get it, Aodhán. So
I do have one question. Who is Mikey in your open?
I just always feel like those guys they're in the frenzy, and like one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts is that they're shouting out some guys like, "Oh, Mike!" Like, who's Mike? You know, like some name gets
Just the
shouted
person
out.
he happens to see.
Like somehow they can't focus on the microphone. They're like
Right.
all with their group, you know. And I would come up with so many people. Like everyone would come up with me. Like,
just a mob.
yes.
You don't dig like the one person up there. You like when the crew's
man.
back
I'm like,
there.
man, this is the family.
And kind of the cool thing about the crew back there is they're not even paying attention. They're just dapping each other up
That's
in
what
the
I'm saying.
back, you know? Yeah.
Like, for instance, if I went to the Grammys and Aodhán won anything, I would walk up with him.
Yeah, and I'd want you to.
That's
But do you know what I
fine.
mean? I'm like,
Yes,
yeah.
But I'd just have you do the speech.
Yeah, Rich has been
based
pray-
on that.
Hey, Rich has been praying for me.
Yeah.
All the people who've been praying for me.
I love that for
That's
6 seconds
insane.
of your speech, it was just like sound effects. Like,
Totally.
ha-ha!
Because that's what it's like, kind
It's,
of, right?
it's building suspense, though.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
really like that.
Are you sure you don't want to do over?
I just don't know if I can top that.
No,
That's
you
good.
can't.
That's
You
good.
can't.
That's good.
I'll practice though.
Well, in all seriousness, we're really, really happy that you're here. We've
Yeah,
been
me
wanting to
too.
get you on for a long time.
That's right.
You know what I thought would be kind of fun just to begin because I think I think there's some updates that people would love to hear about what you're up to, but we'll get there. Maybe just start a little bit about like Young and Free, the beginning of it, like all this
Yeah.
worship music that went out, where you're from, how you got into all of that, like some of our story. I don't think
Awesome.
I've ever gotten to even hear you share that part of your story.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, I think like we're talking about the Grammy stuff. Like I never would have imagined that ever being anything that I'll be doing. Nor did it was ever the goal. But I think I was in a band called the Black Ties. But before that, I started going to church when I was about 12. You know, I'd grown up as a Christian, but started going to church at 11, 12, loved worship. Like, I think that was the thing that was the bridge for me. You know, I went in, I didn't know much about what things meant, but like for some reason, like worship was super compelling. I didn't grow up playing music at all, but I felt like for some reason, music was like the avenue for me to talk to God. And so I learned to play guitar. I was probably 13. I started a band at school with a bunch of kids who none of which were Christian. But slowly I'd start bringing them to youth group. And I'd be like, hey, can you help me play this song that we're playing in the service? So we started a band called Black Ties. We wore black ties.
I love that.
And then we weren't good enough to play on like the main stage at church, but we started playing in like the foyer or the lobby. And
at youth or like
at youth group,
okay,
yeah.
awesome.
So we'd be like out there in the lobby, like playing songs,
Wearing a black tie.
wearing black tie. It was our outfit, dude. I wore
Always.
that all the time, and I straighten my hair like down around here. I'd have a bandana across it sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, there's footage out there.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
the black ties. And like, what kind of music was it?
It was
worship
like
music?
it was like Christian adjacent. We like would try to put Jesus in there, but we were trying to be cool though. Yeah.
But like, what style? Like,
It was like a boy Paramore.
okay.
But I didn't have. But I wish I had that voice. You know, like that voice.
Kind of punk.
Yeah, it was kind of punk. It was like but then it got
Paramore's pop, kind of like pop
it was
rock or
kind of like that, like
ballads.
Yes, ballad. Yeah, but then we started like moving into like worshipy stuff, and so we had a song called My God, which was like one of the first songs we had, and then
Is it a good song?
it was okay. I've been trying to find it. I can't find it anywhere.
How's the chorus go?
Jesus. Wait, it's a verse. Wait, I can't. The verse like Jesus, you are my savior, Father, you are my creator. It's the worst lyrics you've ever heard.
That's like something I wrote.
Yeah, nah.
I love that. That's a great lyric in my opinion.
It was great. It was just, but then I always wanted to just do worship. I was like, I just feel like I can only write songs about that. And so one night, one of the youth pastors pulled me up on stage and was like, hey, like, can you come up and sing this song that I'd written called For You, which is like a worship song. Can you come and sing it at the end of my message? And from that point on, I was kind of just doing that weekly. Like this youth pastor at the time was just like, I'm going to go speak at this campus this week. Can you come and do the same thing? And then before you knew it, I was like doing that, you know, every week at youth group. And then there was one night I finished school, went to university, was studying like marketing, and never thought I'd be doing music. I was like, I'll always serve at church. I'll, lead worship when I'm needed or whatever. And I remember one Friday night I was singing, and I was probably 18. Maybe I just finished high school. I was a leader. And I was like singing on the stage, and like I opened my eyes, and like Brian Houston is standing this close, literally. And he's like, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Aodhán. Wow. And he's like, sounds good. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Which was wild because I was in the city campus, which Brian was never at. It was a Friday night. Like, he was never there. And then within a couple of weeks, we had an email from Laura and Pete, who were the youth pastors. And we're like, hey, we want to start, singing new songs. Yeah, essentially, like, we want to start, United had been the youth band for many years. And they had been touring for years. And they'd grown up. They'd gotten married. They weren't youth leaders anymore. And they're like, we need, to create a new sound that, I guess, articulates what's going on in youth ministry. And so they're like, let's start writing songs. So a bunch of us, there's probably only 7 or 8 people who could even really do that. We just started writing. And, I never thought it would be anything. I was like, this is cool. We'd sung a bunch of songs, a bunch of horrendous songs at youth group every Friday. And then, it was a summer camp. And I remember Judah came in and prophesied about this next generation having a sound that would kind of bring people from far and wide into church. And so that was our mission from the get-go. It was how do we I was always so obsessed with the idea of getting people from school and from my university to come to church. That was my favorite thing to do, was to bring people to church. So what were the songs that we were going to sing that would do that for people? What was going to be their bridge like it was for me? And so, I think Alive was the first song we wrote.
That song went around the world.
Yeah, which was none of us. It was so wild because none of us thought any of that would happen. So we had that.
When were you aware that was starting to happen, or that it did happen? You are alive in
I remember doing it, and it was like, whoa. Like I'd never
Like at youth
seen.
group.
Yeah, we did it at a conference for the first time. It was Encounterfest, and we'd written the song a week before, and it was like, let's just do it. So we did it on the first night, and the whole room went wild. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. But then that said,
Who wrote that song?
Alex Pappas and I.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who when you guys first started doing that, we're kind of like maybe losing some people and they don't know because we're kind of talking insider, but
Yeah.
that song had like some really interesting production and some new production at the time
Mm-hmm.
that was probably like right at the same, in my opinion, like timeline as like what the world was making that sound.
Mm-hmm.
And at times it almost felt like you were a couple inches in front of some of the mainstream music that was coming out with that same kind of production with those drops is what
Yes.
I'm talking about,
Yeah.
some of those dance beats.
Yeah.
Who was behind that sound? Like, cause you were
Yeah.
coming up with the melodies, but there was a producer that you were lined up with you and
Yeah, we had a
Pappas?
few producers at the time. There's a guy called Joel Davies.
Okay.
Who's was amazing. And he kind of was like a few years older than us and was like, took the song and kind of made it what it was. But everyone at the time was really aware of what we wanted to do. Like we wanted to create music that,
was different from Hillsong United.
Exactly.
Different from Hillsong Church.
yes.
And we're not competing with any of that stuff. We're
Yeah.
carving out a brand new lane in what we sound
Exactly.
like.
And
Yeah.
even if it wasn't, you didn't think it might not go around the world, but you knew you were being successful at that, creating a new sound.
For our
that-
youth ministry. But what was funny at the time was that there were so many pastors and stuff at our church who, didn't want to sing that song. Like, wouldn't allow us to sing it on a Sunday because they were like, oh, it sounds too much like a club. We shouldn't be singing that. And so for a long time, we would be doing it in our youth ministry, but we'd never sing it at church. Like it was, I think Brian was the first time. Brian was like, we need to do that at church. But for about 6 months, we didn't do that at church.
I'm definitely a firm believer that you have to define who you are and you need clarity around the values that which you hold and get a picture of like, that's what I'm going for. But what I think is an interesting concept that I don't hear taught a lot is that sometimes the way that you distinguish who you are is by knowing what you're not.
Yes, totally.
And so sometimes I don't all the way know what I carry or what I have or who I am, but I'm very aware of who I am not. And if I will force myself not to step into what I'm not, I will over time stumble into who I am. There's a thought process somewhat on that in terms of going, hey, we don't all the way know what Hillsong Young and Free is, but we definitely know if it sounds like that over there, that's United. If it sounds like that over there, that's kind of an interesting concept sometimes of like going, which one do you have? I think when we started the church, there was parts of me going, I know I'm not this.
Yes.
I don't want to be rebellious or rage against
Yeah.
something, but I think it takes you some time to find your voice. I think it takes some time for you to find what it is that you can bring or what separates you, or even your sound for that matter. But sometimes the way that you find your sound is by knowing what you don't sound like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we had a lot of those. There's a lot of pillars that were like, okay, don't go near that. That's already done. So that was definitely the thing that kept us going. But yeah, I mean, I think over time we discovered that. And I think in songs and creating records, like there has to be songs that I always talk about, like this pillars, the songs you're like, okay, Alive for us, we had that song and it was like, okay, cool. We know what direction we're going now. There was 100 songs before that we didn't use, but we needed one song to like set the precedent.
That
for
became
what
a
we were.
reference for the rest of it.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
When was some like moments that you can remember that like, oh, the songs are good, we have some good voices, and like, but no, they're like, this group is like anointed to actually lead worship. Like, were there some moments where you're like, oh, it's a big room, or this is not our youth group, but we're helping people get in the presence of God, that was like pivotal for you guys and what you started to do?
Yeah, I think to me, I kind of put it down to like there was an ease. It felt like it felt like even those moments where it was hard work felt really easy because we loved each other. There was a compatibility amongst each other. But I can only put that down to like the grace of God. Like, because all of us were doing, like we had guys working in sandwich shops, people who never thought they would do music. It just didn't make sense. And I think that's how I can define it was only God, because I have no idea how it happened. And I don't know if I ever was like, oh, we're anointed. I never thought that. I was just like, this just feels strange, but right.
Yeah.
I was thinking on the way over here, like the first time I remember meeting you or hearing you or seeing you, I don't know the date of it. It was in New York City is what I recall though. And it was maybe at a color conference, maybe 2013, 14. And I feel like it was at some big theater in New York City.
Radio City Music Hall.
Radio City Music Hall.
Hillsong
And you
Conference.
were in an all denim outfit and you came out on a stand, on a mic stand.
Yeah.
And that piano line, and you just came out and you sang it. And then those drums came in on that bridge and the place just erupted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just went off. And I was like, who is that dude? He's got something on his life. And it's kind of crazy looking back now because like what Young and Free accomplished and did, music really all over the world, Grammy nominated. I thought you guys won the Grammy, but Grammy nominated. But like even, I actually have a video on my phone. I don't know if I ever showed it to her. It had to have been, what year would have Oceans come out from Hillsong United?
2013.
Okay,
It's the same
2013.
year.
So I have a video on my phone of either 2012 or 2011 or
Yeah, it came out
2013
2012,
of Taya at Sunday night church at the Hills campus singing some sort of an item song, like a special song. And she's like bouncing around the stage. It was so good.
crazy.
The following week, I think I was at Friday night church and they had flown her to Brisbane to do the Friday night service, do
Dude,
the
I
same
remember that.
item.
Is
And
that
then-
dance song, right?
Yes, and then like
Yes.
months later, she's singing Oceans, and
Yeah,
so
it's so
I remember when
crazy.
Jolie showed me that song in New York before the record came out. I was like, I know this girl's voice. I just saw her
Yeah,
at
yeah,
church,
yeah.
And I think there's something really cool about like the idea that none of you guys were like trying or striving for something. I really believe that we don't have to find our calling will find us.
Yeah, I believe
And if
that.
we'll position ourselves and align ourselves in the right place, I think a big part of like just maturing in the Lord and growing in God is resting in the fact that like he will find you. Like he will come and pick you out. Like the idea of like Taya, this voice and these songs,
Yeah.
like she didn't go looking for any of that stuff. She was singing months earlier a dance song for
Yeah.
like a fun special in church.
Right, yeah.
You're in the black ties,
Right.
AKA, what's that
Yeah.
one movie with, is it Reservoir Dogs? Does anyone remember that? Like that's what I think about when I think about black ties. Like out in the foyer
Yeah.
and someone
crazy.
sees you,
So dope.
it's powerful. Maybe from your account, like just growing up in church, like just how much being planted in church, why that's mattered to you. I was kidding around with you that you don't have a church. Of course you do. But
Yeah.
you haven't just
Yeah.
made music. You made music for the church and you've been planted in the church. That's a big conviction of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's everything. I think being in the house of God is obviously relationally, like having people that have like championed me. Like I 100% don't think I would be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for like the leaders that kind of pulled the gift out of me. You know, even when I felt like, because I definitely at the time was like, there's no way that I could do music with my life. Like that's going to be a hobby. I don't see how I could even use this to really serve God. But there was people who would encourage that out of me. And I think without that, I would not be doing what I'm doing. I think being planted in church, like, I don't know. It spurred me on in ways I can't even really describe. It's hard to, like, yeah, I have so much to be grateful for. And I as well, like, even my relationship with God, I think, like, in so many ways, like, the way that I know God has everything to do with, like, the community that I've been placed in. And so, yeah, I don't know, like, yeah.
I think that's a powerful concept. A couple of years ago, I taught out of the book of Revelation, and that whole concept of like the 7 different churches of Revelation is a really interesting teaching. But when you study those 7 different churches of Revelation, in every one of those, Jesus, who's speaking to them, introduces himself in a different way. And the concept that comes to my mind is that when you introduce yourself to someone, usually your introduction's a powerful thing because it's telling you why you're there or what the most important reason, what you want them to know. And in all those churches, he introduced himself in a different way, meaning, I guess the way that I lean into that is that like God was revealing something about himself in a different way to each church. So I would say it this way, that like, we don't know everything about Jesus. We know something about Jesus. But when I get to know you, or when I get to know you, I'm going to learn something more about Jesus. And the body of Christ becomes a really cool thing because I don't know everything about Jesus. I know the something. But when I learn the something that you know, and I learn the something that you know. So here's 7 different ways to know Jesus. Meet 7 different Christians.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, like so you want to learn something, you want to get a new revelation
doubt.
about God, meet another believer who's been serving God, because you're going to discover through their testimony, through their experience, that they've learned something about the character of God. And that's what I love about the idea about going to church and the things that get drawn out of us. What's interesting to me about your life is your parents, were they musical? Because like, I think you have one of the most beautiful voices. I don't know if you're allowed to say it to another man. One of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, no,
It's really, really annoying because I've written a lot of songs with Aodhán, none of which have done anything yet. But one day by the help of God. But every time he sings it like on a demo, it messes the whole song up.
Right. It's your expectation now.
Yeah, because like then you're like, hey, bro, can you sing this song?
Yeah.
It's like, let me hear the demo. It's like, na 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 na,
It's just on an iPhone. It's not even like really produced yet.
And then we get all the bands.
Right.
We get all these people, and it's like, sing it. It's like, let's go back to that demo. You know, like it never gets better than
I like
that.
that version on the iPhone even better. You know.
We were just listening to a demo of the car. I was like, you know what I really want? I want like all of our album just to be pads and like you just sing through them like this. He's like, that's okay, Rich. I think you have an infatuation.
They weren't even musical.
No,
Like
nothing.
you knew you could sing, bro.
No, I didn't.
Very
But,
interesting.
so church told you that?
I promise you, it was literally. That's what I'm saying. That's why church was so big for me. Like,
What was the first song everyone's like, bro, you could sing?
But did you try out
don't-
singing because you came to church? You're like, oh, I like that.
I used to
found
like-
some homies at school. Let's put together. Is that kind of how it happened, or you?
I think it honestly was as simple as I came to church. Worship is what got me there. It was, and I was like, there's something about this that feels so special.
Yeah.
And it was my way of like talking to God. Like, cause I don't love I used to not really understand even praying back then when I was 12, 11. I had no concept of that really. For me, for some reason, I wanted to just sing. So even if I was, walking about in my head, I'd be like singing prayers or whatever. So, and then I was like, well, I need to do this but no one sung in my family. And I was so I never wanted to ever sing in front of anyone at home.
So were your parents kind of like, whoa, where'd this come from?
I don't
That'd
think
be
they
crazy.
ever had, I think until that conference that you're talking about in New York in 2013, that's the first time I ever left the country to do something for church. That was the first time I've ever.
What year was that? You know,
2013. Yeah.
Year was 2013.
Yeah. And that was the week the record came out too, Young and Free,
What year did Young and Free come to Rendezvous Conference?
2014.
And that was a time.
Insane.
That was insane.
Were you
I
at
was
that?
There. I would have been.
That still goes down as one of the
I would
greatest.
have been 19.
Yeah.
What year was that?
14.
Wow. So the year before we
Yeah.
probably announced
It was
the
in
church. The Fillmore.
Yeah.
Wow.
it
You
was
guys
insane.
ripped it.
Yeah, we talk
That
about
place
that
was-
still. All of us. That's
It
still
was unglued.
that's a benchmark.
That was a night.
Really? Why do you
insane.
say that?
It was just the
was a
atmosphere was
night.
crazy. People falling onto the stage almost. It was wild.
I feel like that whole summer that you guys kind of owned the summer. You were at every event,
You did everything.
big, small, just.
Yeah.
There's something about that whole 10,000 hour rule too of just doing stuff and getting up and leading people that you learn. And I feel like all of you guys were growing through that whole experience and
Yeah.
the stretching of all of that.
Yeah.
You guys started traveling the world. Was there ever a time with all that travel, with all that expansion that you kind of, I don't like the word burned out, but was there ever a moment you kind of hit a wall or you needed to go, bro, this is a lot harder than I thought. I'm not ready for this. This is scary.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't think, not for us.
Wow.
Because we were
Super cool.
yeah, we were young and at the time, all of us were single. It was just fun. And everything was a new experience. So even VU, doing that conference in 2014, that was the first time that summer was the first time we'd left the country as a band.
Yeah.
And so everything felt new. And I think for years, it always had, we had, because we were volunteering at church as well, the entire outset of, and the reason we were doing it was ministry focused. So there was not, even if it felt like a sacrifice, which it was, that we knew that's why we were doing it.
Yeah.
We had, there was a mission to what we were doing and it felt important. So, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, but that's literally what it was. We got to see the world. We got to see people meet Jesus. We had incredible worship moments. I don't think we ever felt that way. I think we got tired, but we haven't been on the road for a couple of years, and we're all in a group text still going, when are we going? Yeah.
So the last couple of years have kind of been pretty unpredictable and probably uncertain from your vantage point. Maybe just speak to us for a little bit about that. There's been so much in the media about Hillsong Church and you're not even living in Sydney right now. How has all that impacted you personally?
Yeah, it's been really, it's been really sad. I think Hillsong's always had a hard time, always. And in Australia, I grew up, when I was in high school, everyone would be like, are you part of a cult? It was that was my whole experience. Even school teachers would be like, oh, don't go to Hillsong. In Australia, it's very anti-Hillsong. So I was used to that, but I think in the last couple of years it's been hard, like for sure. I think the uncertainty, like of what happens day to day, has been what's the hardest. Like not being able to predict like what's going to happen next week. But in a lot of ways, I think it's helped me. Again, it sounds cliche to say, but it's like it's helped me beyond anything put my faith in God. Like knowing that like He actually can see the future. He's got me. It's all good. It's given me made me way more reliant on the Holy Spirit. And then people like you, like I think going, okay, who else is there in my world that I can talk to about this? But yeah, it's been difficult. I think it still feels that way. You know, I still love Hillsong. I love all the people there. And, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to think. So we're in 2024 now. This is kind of a crazy thought. I'm wondering, just because Australia was so locked down during the pandemic, and really, well, what would have been the last real function that Young and Free did? Would it have been in 2019? Because we would have come into March and the world would have gotten shut down. Has Young and Free traveled at all in 2020 or 2021 or 22? Like, because that sort of, it's sort of a domino effect of what transpired.
Yeah.
It would have gotten shut down by the pandemic. Because I'm just thinking like I think one of the interesting positions that you find yourself in is that coming out of 2019, my guess, and correct me where I'm wrong, you're probably going, bro, we've been nominated for 2 Grammys. I'm leading this group. We've got a lot of vision.
Right.
We've got other young people coming through the youth group. Our church is growing all over the world. And then this thing called the pandemic hits that stops you guys. But then as you get into 2021, there becomes all sorts of other media stories and all other sorts of challenges within the church, to the point now that Pastor Brian's retired, that he's not even leading the church anymore. Young and Free hasn't put out a project. I don't know. I'm trying to think when the last time you guys put something out. I think that's kind of an interesting spot that you'd find yourself in, because it seems like it's been blow after blow after blow. When was the last thing that you guys did?
So the last record we've recorded 2 things since COVID. So we did the full length All My Best Friends record, came out in August of 2020.
Okay.
We recorded that at the end of January 2020.
That's right.
So that whole year was going to look very different for us. We put out that record. That's the record that we got nominated for a Grammy on.
So you made that record during 2020.
Yeah.
You guys are stopped, like, all right, we're going to write, we're going to put things together. And then you released it in August. It did really well.
Yeah. Then we put out another project in 2021. But it was all in Sydney. So we did like a project.
You did like youth nights there and stuff like that, but you never went and did like another event or a tour.
No.
But you kept thinking you were gonna.
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah. And so I think that was, it's disheartening. I think because there's so much momentum with music and so much momentum, like we don't write songs for song's sake. Like you write a song because you're like, okay, we need to do this in a room. Yeah. We need to see, like this doesn't work, just to listen to. This needs to be experienced. And so, I think that was really hard, because it's like we get there and it's like, no, we can't. And so, since then it's just been trying to work out what the next step is. But and I think with that, people then kind of have to move on, like especially in the Young and Free band, like everyone else has to go get like normal jobs. So like our guy who plays keys, he now flies planes. He's a pilot. He literally went and got his pilot license in the same time it's taken for us to do anything.
That might have been an upgrade.
I think it's pretty sick. Yeah, it's pretty sick. Yeah. So and then like,
you guys might have been holding him back. Let's be honest.
I think so, bro.
That's pretty sick.
Bring him back though.
Yeah.
But so I think it's just people's lives have had to move, which I think is awesome. And I think,
where do you think there's any clarity right now? Like, I'm not trying to put you on the spot to make some sort of an announcement, but like, do you feel like you guys are still writing music? It's sort of at a standstill. You're waiting for things to kind of continue to transpire.
We have a whole record finished.
Wow.
Mix, everything. Yeah. So
It's been done for a long time.
Yeah, we kind of finished that up around beginning of last year.
Yeah.
Which I think is our best thing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane. So we're trying to work out how to move.
How to release that? How to do something with that?
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, I'm praying, fingers crossed, it's like this year, towards the end of this year. But yeah,
it's exciting.
Yeah.
What are some things you think you've been able to do? And I don't want to like make something more than what it is if it's not there. But like when you face, opposition like that, when you face challenges like that, when something happens that you didn't see coming, what are certain things that you've done to kind of keep yourself healthy? What are certain things that you've done to keep vision alive? How do you not let disappointment derail you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I struggled with that for a long time. I think so many times, like when you come up against opposition or disappointment, like the first thing I want to do is like retreat, chill, or pivot. Like I'm like pivot completely. Like I'm like, oh, should I just go back to Australia and just work at my brother's restaurant? Because that sounds fun and easy. But I think for me, the biggest thing has been relationships, like staying connected to people that, like I said earlier, like pull the best out of me, keep reminding me how like it's all good, and pivoting in a way that makes sense. Like I think I don't want to be banging on the same doors anymore. I think it's going, okay, cool, this door's closed. Like God's going to open another door. That stuff's definitely helped me like not put a tent where my disappointment is, if that makes sense. Like I think that, but I also feel like writing songs, like, you know, even like the Bible talks like write a new song, sing a new song unto the Lord. Like for me, that's been everything. Like I've noticed when I'm not doing that, I feel like purposeless, because I know that that's what God's put on my life to do, as one of the things to do, like to write songs. And so I need to, like, even when I don't feel like it, I'm like, okay, cool, I need to go and spend time with God. Like that has been a lifesaver for me, which I'm only learning now, which is wild. Like I've been doing it now for like 15, 16 years, but that to me, I'm like, I need to do that. That's my way to like get through this, write about it, sing to God, talk to God about it.
Because being a part of a band is that world. They kind of like, I'm not saying that you don't have control over your schedule and stuff, but is there a rhythm that you guys are on that's kind of like you're living in this world, and now there's a little bit more maybe self-accountability, or just maybe called freedom, and that's where you've kind of had to find your personal rhythms in that space?
Yeah, 100%. I think that one of the things that I've been confronted with lately is like I can like make my own decisions. Yeah. Which is a wild thought. Because with Young and Free, we had the year was set, like we had 2 years set out. Like I actually knew exactly what I was doing.
Calendar dates, meetings,
everything,
photo
every
shoots,
day, every single
writing
day.
sessions.
Yeah. And so not having that has been like, where do I want to prioritize my time? And that's been a huge thing for me as like a 30-year-old guy, like 31 now actually.
Let's go.
Yeah. There you go.
Older than Dakota.
Yeah.
Mentor this man.
Please. I was going to talk to you later.
Yeah, we can talk later. Okay. That's been a whole thing, like trying to work out how to prioritize your time and like what's important. And like I never had to think like that before. I had a church community, a structure, touring that literally decided where my time was spent.
I think you're stepping into something that I think is really, really important to talk about for a moment. And I'm going to see if I can set it up properly, because I think this is a big part of growing up that people don't realize. And a lot of times when you're young, let's talk about junior high, high school, college. It's always like, man, I got so much restriction in my life, and one day I'm going to have all my own money to do whatever I want. You know what I found out for me? Like, I think my life has grown tremendously over the years. And as my life grows, so with it, my autonomy grows. And I think in the world we live in, everyone wants to be autonomous. Like, I get that. Like, I want to be free. Like, but it's scary sometimes. Like, I think one of the things I struggle with a lot is like wherever I'm at, I can always have a good case that I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Let me try to have you. So it's like I could be here right now. It's like, oh my gosh, I should be with my kids. I could be with my kids. I'm like, I should be at work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could be at work and I'm like, I'm writing a song. I'm like, I should be working on a sermon. I'm working on a sermon. I should be writing the book. I should be writing the book. I should be pastoring people. Like, there's always some other place to be. Yeah. And when no one's telling you where you have to be,
there you go.
You don't know if you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So true.
And it's like, how do I know if I'm spending my time in the right area?
Yeah.
And what you just said, I think, so interesting, because it's only like looking back now that you can actually look at like, oh, someone tell me to get on the bus. Yeah. Someone tell me the album's due. Back then, I used to curse it as a burden and as a restriction. Now I look back and go, man, I wish someone was telling me if I'm doing good.
I know.
Or what my job is today, or like how to get an A. I always did good in school. I'm not that smart, but I know how to get an A. Tell me how to get an A.
Yeah.
I'll get an A. But what happens when you're like making your own scorecard? What happens when you're playing you're writing the game? That becomes really difficult.
I think there's something so much different than submitting to a vision and creating a vision. And there's something beautiful. And it's always a balance of both. I believe.
No, totally.
I think
It is,
even whenever you're in the band, to be clear, I totally understand you're having to make your own decisions. You're having to manage your time. I'm just saying, to a degree, it seems like it's something else. And one of the things that you said is managing my time and deciding what's important to me. And I know you weren't saying that in order,
Yeah.
but I think we get tricked up whenever we get the order wrong. We start trying to manage our time, and then we get unhappy with ourselves the way we've managed our time because we haven't managed our time according to what's important to us.
Very good.
And I think that's mature me, right?
Yes.
It's determining who do you want to be as a man? Who do you want to be as a woman? And then reverse engineering what your life should look like. You know?
The other day we were in a staff meeting, and I'm trying to think what that proverb was, but it's like those that are diligent, they find freedom in their work.
I'm going to venture to say 14, Proverbs 14.
Yeah, but like the phrasing of it is about diligence and work and finding freedom. And the premise that I was working with is that, like, you find what you're looking for. So what are you looking for? I think everyone today wants freedom. They don't want the burden of life. And so the premise of the talk was work free. And so what is diligent work according to God's word? Matthew 25 talks about the parable of the talents. And the guy that multiplied the talents that he was given more. And the person who hid it or sat on it, didn't do anything with it, he took it away from them. So I think diligent work according to God's word is something that's multiplying.
Yeah, that's good.
So then how do I get to multiplying? And we can start going all through the layers of it, but I would take it all the way back to this idea of restriction. That in restriction leads to concentration. Concentration gives way to imagination, and imagination is what will actually create the multiplication. That's a lot of like Asian thing, but I like the two things that don't seem like they go together. Like, I actually think you right now, with all the freedom that you have to create some sort of restriction. You have to self-impose restriction on your life.
Yeah.
Because it's with those parameters that you'll actually find real freedom and real growth, and something will begin to multiply. Like, I actually have to cut some things out of my life and discipline myself. Otherwise, I'll try to do everything. And when you try to do everything, you'll never do something.
Right.
And so
it's really
I like
true.
the idea of like restriction's actually a gift. And theologically speaking, we all know that. Like, there was they didn't have the whole garden. There was something that was restricted from them. And where did they go wrong? When they went and ate the thing that was, in the restricted area. And we tend to do that. We tend to live without boundaries, without margin, without discipline. And with it, I don't think we ever step into real fruit.
Yeah.
We don't grow something healthy.
How do you do that though? Like, how do you set up those boundaries? Like,
Well, I think when you were in your 20s, it sounds like a lot of those things were given to you.
Yeah, completely.
And I think maybe someone who's watching right now, like the mature thing is like, maybe you're in a place right now and you're cursing that. Maybe just for a moment realize that life is long.
Yes.
And in this season, that which you're cursing, one day you're gonna look back and say, I wish I had it again.
Of course, yeah.
And I think the way that you graduate from that is embracing, which I think you did. Maybe you've graduated out of that moment right now that you now have to go, okay, I have to define for myself what my restrictions are.
Right.
And so I would use what Dakota was saying, like, what are the things that are important to you? What are the things that you believe that God's called you to do? You don't want to just run to what's urgent. You want to move towards what's important.
Yeah.
So that's why I think value-based living, that's why I think vision statements, mission statements for your own life are so very important. Otherwise, I don't have a shortage of opportunities. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I do the one thing that God's called me to do, the something that God's called me to do. And I think people try to do everything, and you just get lost in it.
Yeah.
For you, it's like, if you know you're supposed to be writing songs, then you've got to create disciplines that makes that the priority.
Yeah.
If you know you're supposed to be in church, hey, I don't book events on Sundays. Like there's just little things that you could start doing that you would go, these are the core values that make up me. And I think when you start doing that, you'll find purpose in whatever it is that you're doing, and it's out of that life flow that great things will, I think, flow out of your life.
Yeah, that's really good.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. One of the things that you talking about restriction in Genesis, the Garden of Eden, it's beautiful. Have the whole garden. Don't eat from that tree. I was reading from Genesis this week, and one of the things that I thought was a beautiful thought is it said there are trees, but they're seed-bearing fruit. And I think oftentimes when we think about what work produces, it produces fruit. But oftentimes I think like, oh, you produce sinking deep. That's the fruit of my diligent work. And there it is. What I love about the fruit and what it says seed bearing is there's actually seeds that's in that fruit that's going to have the opportunity to plant another tree.
Yep.
That's
to
awesome.
produce more
Very
fruit.
good.
And for you, he just illustrated what you talked about at staff meeting the other day, work free. Did you ever feel burnout?
No, totally.
No.
No,
We were
totally.
having the time of our lives. Like, to me, that says, oh, you were in your grace zone. Like, you had found what God has called you to do, and you had people around you to hold you accountable to continue to view that in the right sight. For you, as you worked hard, as you produced this fruit, like, what was it like seeing not just that you were winning awards, but like, I'm sure you had so many stories of people's lives being changed. Like, was there a moment that you're like, man, thank you, God, that you allowed me to create these things, and seeing the stories? Like, does that hit you even more now, looking back 10 years later, or in the moment?
Yeah, I still pinch myself. I still can't believe it. Like, I think the story, like, yeah, I mean, there's no way that I could doubt the existence of God ever, because of what I've seen and what I know to be true. And like, I don't know. It's insane. The stories are insane. And I think like even like my own family, like my mom came to know God, like, because of like me doing what I was doing, like she ended up coming to a Lakewood conference because I was like, oh, I'm going to go sing in Texas. And she came and got saved. And like,
Wow.
So like, it's insane.
So special.
It's really beautiful. You're 31 years of age, and I think the question that everyone out there is wondering is like, why? How come you're not married?
I don't know.
Tell us.
Bro, I don't know.
Are you afraid to get married?
No, I want to get married. Yeah, I'm ready, I think.
You don't
feel
think
like
you're afraid of
one
it?
of the things that you said, in Scripture, he who finds a wife.
Totally.
We talk about the action in that. What are the
Well, you find what
action
you- hey,
steps
you
that
find what
Aodhán's
you're looking
taken,
for,
man?
Dakota. You
Come on,
find
what
what
are
you're
you
looking
looking for out here?
Bro, I'm trying to work that out myself. I think the last couple of years have been so all over the place, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That it's kind of felt like as soon as I feel a bit like I felt steady, and even just like where I'm living, what's happening with Young and Free, what am I doing? Like, why am I in America? Like, the moment I feel like, oh, I feel good. So I'm just trying to work out what that balance
Stable
is.
ground a little
Exactly,
bit.
yeah.
Have you ever been close to being married?
I've been in a serious relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, something that you cared about, but like,
Yeah.
you never went and bought a ring or something. Maybe close.
I was younger though.
Yeah.
And that was like while I was traveling and touring.
Sure.
So that we didn't like. Yeah, not enough to get married, but like very close. Yeah.
I do think like getting married for me, like I don't know. I used to be I wrote a whole book called like Single and Secure, and I totally believe in that message. But a lot of like my preaching when I was younger was really like celebrating people I don't want to put pressure on people to get married, but the older I get, the more convinced I become that getting married younger seems to me, in my experience, to be better. I just think it brings about a maturity, and it settles an area down. It brings a security. Like, I just don't think I would have done half the things I've done or accomplished if I hadn't gotten married young. You met your wife, how old were you, Dakota? When you guys
We grew up together.
You grew up together, but you got married at what age?
21. She was 20. So when she turns 30 next year, we'll be married for 10 years.
Wow.
Next July, yeah.
You have 3 children.
3 children, yeah.
It's
Like,
amazing.
I just think that like putting roots down like that sooner just settles a whole lot of areas. Like, I think not being married is a distraction.
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
I would love to be married. I mean, I totally agree with that. Like, I kind of
do you think about getting married every day of your life?
almost, yeah.
You have that thought, right?
Is
Like,
it all
oh,
like
who
an
am I going to
angst
marry? What am I?
thought?
Sometimes there's angst, yeah. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, especially because like I live alone and I'm like laying there in bed. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, totally. But I
just think there's a lot of girls that would want to marry you.
How many girls
haven't found any.
have told you
Yes.
that God told them
Yes.
Oh,
that
that's
you're
hap-
supposed to get married?
Has a girl ever proposed to you?
Because that's the classic thing.
I've had that happens sometimes.
But how many times?
Like quite a few.
like 10?
Like maybe.
See, that's a
more.
distract. There's never been a girl
you
in my
hear
life
that?
that's told me that.
He said more. So it's got to be like 40 people
Of
that have told
course.
him God said.
But yeah, I don't know.
Of course.
Yeah, I totally, dude. I'm like ready. So I really am.
What kind
I
of a
feel-
girl? What like you like? Tell us what, because maybe she's watching right now. Like,
Yeah, okay. She's
in the
watching.
comments right
What's
now,
up?
if you are, You know, and I guess it's kind of weird to leave a comment, and we're gonna go suss that out, right? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
make you.
I don't know
That
about
might be
that.
like,
Yeah.
how'd we
Yeah.
meet? I left a comment on Rich's YouTube.
Yeah.
And then
I think
Aiden
it's
saw
sweet,
it.
kind, funny. It's gotta be funny.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty funny.
Do you want her to be musical?
I think you are.
You're hilarious. Do you want her to be musical?
She can be, but she doesn't have to be. But maybe that would be good.
You're 31, living in LA. Is there a whole culture though, like of your friends, and it's like, oh, marriages. I'm not getting married. Like,
I don't have one really single friend.
they're
Oh,
all
really?
married.
Nah, all of my friends are married. So that's also part of the reason, like, what am I doing? Because I'll be like going to all these like,
Married person
You're like
stuff.
the
oh yeah,
ninth wheel.
I'm always ninth wheel. Yeah, no, I'm ready because it definitely feels like life. I mean, I think it's great being single, and I'm like trying to really like, be single.
Lean into
secure.
that, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm at the point where I want to start building things, but it feels weird to build those things alone, if that makes sense. Like I want to start putting roots down, like you said. But like even like where am I going to live? Like that's like, I feel like that's such a question for maybe.
Like you're still thinking about like that because you don't know if LA is going to be your home for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if it will
You're not
be.
sure. You
I
think
don't
it-
think it will be.
Do you love LA?
No, I like it. I have really good friends there.
Useful for you right now.
And
in this
and I
season.
love writing there. I have great people that I write with and stuff. But like, I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. I think that's up to God. Right now, I don't have clarity on that.
Do you love America? Like, I don't know if I should say more than Australia, but I'm saying, yeah, I love America. But I mean, do you see yourself being in America long term, or do you see yourself being back in Australia? I didn't want to say, do you love America more than Australia? It's like, say it.
Right,
Say it.
say it.
Say it. Say it. That's how Americans are. Say it. No.
You know what? This is like probably the one area of my life that I'm so indecisive on. I don't know. I like went back to Australia for Christmas. I'm like, oh my gosh, Australia is just so nice. It's like beautiful. It's so easy. But I think I'm always, whether I like it or not, I think America is always going to be part of my life for the rest of my life. I think in terms of ministry and it just a lot of it, I feel like it makes sense.
When's the last time you went on a date?
Probably like before I went back for Christmas.
Okay.
Do you feel
So,
like
like,
you
2
get
months.
set up more because you're always hanging out with married friends than if you just had a bunch of single friends? Do you think there's
And I actually want it that way. I want to be set up. I want to be like recommended.
You do.
Yeah, of course.
What I was going to say is like, what are some of the rules that you have? Like, have you been out with a girl on a Monday night and then a different girl on Friday night? Is that illegal? Is that wrong? Or like, oh, I took her to dinner. I took her to
don't
dinner.
date that much.
You don't do that.
So it's never been a 2 in a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
And how do
I
you
don't know
know
if that's bad.
How do you know when something's a date?
right?
Like what, you know what I mean? Like, hey,
think
can I,
well, it's different here. In Australia, it's more like, let's hang. Here, I feel like it's more formal.
Yeah.
give me what
Can I
you mean?
take you to dinner?
Hey, and
So,
so
you're
you
not
would,
going to first dates at lunch right now? You would be going to dinner usually.
Well, usually because I'm working during the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing something.
hey, can I take you to dinner on Friday?
Yeah.
You'd say it that way?
But
Dinner on Friday, to be clear,
Friday's
is formal.
Oh, it is?
I think so.
What do you
I
know,
would
bro?
do
You've been with the
Friday.
same
No,
girl since
I-
you're 9.
Let's be clear.
I know-
Dinner on Friday, one-on-one, to be clear, just
It
so
is?
we're all.
Friday feels more
1000%.
formal.
I don't have dinner
But I
with
wouldn't
people
put
on
Fri- I
Fridays
wouldn't do
one-on-one,
Friday.
but
I would usually like a Monday to Thursday type situation.
why? Is Friday sacred for what? The boys.
Yeah, it's the boys.
Friday's for the boys.
Yeah,
The
dude.
boys.
It is.
Who's Friday for?
That's just like hanging.
How good does
Okay.
the first date have to be
Yeah.
to get a second date? Is that hard for you? It's like it's got to go really good, or it's just not. It just has
Yeah.
doesn't have to go bad.
It doesn't have to go bad.
Okay.
I think I probably have put too much pressure sometimes on myself on the first date, and so I'll often be like, no, I don't know, but I think you got to give people way more chance than that.
Do you feel like you've been yourself on those first dates? Is it kinda-
Sometimes, but
Is
not.
it kind of stiff
I
sometimes?
don't go on that many dates, honestly. So I don't like.
We don't believe you. We think you go on lots of dates.
I know, I
We
wish.
think
I
that-
believe you.
No, I don't. Like, I
What
wish I did.
what is like what's like the budget of one of these dates, and like what's the type of place you're
That's
going
a
to?
Yeah.
Like you're
great
taking someone,
question.
you're taking them to
Are
like
you going shrimp cocktail for appetizer?
yeah, like are you getting steaks? Like are you having a glass of wine?
No,
What is
uh,
this? How much money we talking?
I mean,
Honestly, L.A. You know, you're in a blue
I mean,
state.
it could be
Inflation.
anywhere from like $100 to $300.
Wow.
That's what
Wow,
it is, dude. I don't know.
$300.
And you're
Okay.
talking about this is casual.
That's what
Oh
it is.
my God,
Well,
okay.
I mean, I don't know. It's
Wow.
LA, right?
LA.
So
Wow,
it's
and you're not
that
married.
might be like a
Wow.
sandwich. You
No.
know?
Jeez.
Yeah.
like
I've
a
done
mortgage
I've done
payment.
bowling before.
Bowling. Okay, that's cool.
That was fun.
So $100 to $300 on a first date.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money.
And here's my question:
Yeah.
you pick them up or you meet?
That's a good question.
Usually pick them up.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And you're wearing the black tie, or that's just the band?
It depends on how I feel.
Okay.
I do want to wear suits though more. That
Yeah,
would be
you should.
sick.
You should. Like La La Land.
Yeah,
Mature
exactly.
me wears
Yeah.
suits. I
Dakota, what's
feel.
that song on La La Land that we love?
City of stars, are you shining just for me? Do, 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 do. Yeah, it's good.
That's it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
okay, that went
no,
somewhere else.
okay, first.
Yeah, I love that movie. So, you grab them, you get them in the car,
Yeah.
you open her door.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you take them to. Give me the last nice restaurant you took them in
agreement.
L.A. Boa, is Boa still a place? Boa Steakhouse. That's weak.
Is this
It is, I haven't
too
been there.
personal?
No,
Are we
no,
No,
doing
this is
no,
great.
sure.
Soho House.
Soho House works.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's work. What else? Barney's Beanery.
Ooh.
That's more chill.
Yeah, that's like a sports bar
Yeah,
almost.
it's so
Yeah.
cool.
Hey, shut up, Sally! I'm bringing out the beers. It's like, okay, sorry. Hey, so sorry.
good.
Hey,
You
so
need
tell
that.
me again.
Yeah,
Did you grow
yeah.
up in church?
Yeah. Hey, so just really quickly, you do believe in the incarnation,
Yeah.
or okay, like yeah. So hold on, you think we need a priest to confess to? Wait, no, I just think he's my high priest. All right, sorry, like you're in the book of Hebrews. All right, so give us. This is what we do want to know before we.
Yeah, go.
What's the worst date you went on in the past couple years?
important.
Like, and tell us why it was so bad.
Important.
I mean,
You're trying to figure out if you want to say it.
He doesn't want to say it because he thinks it's going to give it away, but no one knows who you're talking about. They might,
well,
but
the only
who
thing
cares?
is I
It's
haven't
o-
been on many dates.
Okay.
But
So like, it's
give us a
like-
bad one. It's like that's what we're talking about here. Talking about maturing.
I mean, I don't know if I've had a bad one. I can try to make one up. Like, I haven't had a bad
You don't way to
one.
make it up. I'm saying like, were you like, I got
He's about to tell a parable.
Yeah, yeah. You see,
The father
no good tree
set
can
the
bear
son
bad
up, but then
fruit.
the older son.
Tell a parable. No, what I'm wondering is like you're at dinner, like I gotta get. Have you
I've
had
been
this?
at dinner before where
Yeah,
I've
I gotta
sat,
get out of here.
yeah, I've sat down at a dinner before and just been like and known within 5-10 minutes that it's just not right.
That she's shallow. This is dull.
Yes, or it could be anything. It doesn't have to be that, but
She's
just
weak-eyed.
Something that just is, and I just know. And then
Yeah.
you have to sit there and maybe she feels the same way about me too. So like it's
Yeah, but she could at least go. What's that song again? You're like, standing here in your presence, got a mess on it endless.
I could-
I am young.
You're gonna keep letting him go, eh?
oh man.
Lost with you.
Come on,
I
man.
found Jesus.
Keep going.
It's like
I
you
feel
turn
like
to
you
worship
used to
songs.
sing more in your sermons back in the day. I feel like you should
Oh.
bring it back.
I don't want to,
You don't want to show up the worship leaders, eh?
you understand how it
Yeah,
goes.
that's
you know?
mature you, eh?
That's the mature me right there, you know?
Respects.
Da, da, da.
Going back to it.
I found Jesus.
Is there any
I
advice
found
that you'd give to a young
Jesus.
man or a young woman dating in church?
Yeah, totally.
Is there any like hard like stances that you have about dating in church?
I think when I was younger, I wish I dated more.
Whoa.
I don't like dating.
It's just some random advice.
No,
You
I
wish you
mean
would've
more
dated
like
Date more. So you're telling
No, but
someone
not
out
make
there
it
right
so,
now, just
like-
to
That's
be
the
clear.
word you want to give my audience.
look at that
Date
camera
more?
right there
don't
if
do
you
like
want.
don't
My God,
don't
who
be
is
so like I
this?
don't think don't be so intense about it.
Mm.
Like go on dates and then
Yeah.
be clear and communicative.
Yeah.
Do
It
you
doesn't
think at
work.
all that what you just said,
Yeah,
someone could be called a player by unintended consequence of following your advice?
maybe.
But
But
you
that
still
was not
think-
my intention there.
That's not.
Yeah,
your
and I don't even know
bad.
what you guys mean by dating. We're taking someone to dinner
Yeah.
and having a conversation.
Getting to know them.
Yes.
Like I
see.
think like
Date
I mean,
Dakota.
I used to feel so. I think,
Come on, don't do this. I'm clearing it up. I'm clearing the air.
Clear it up, man.
I
Sorry
think like
about that.
I just feel like
I feel like I projected
I
on
probably
you.
felt
and
too.
just
I was
apologize.
scared to do that because of that.
Yeah.
Because people would be like, "Oh, what? Like, are you a player?" I'm like, "But you
No.
have to. Like, how do you know somebody if you don't get to know them?
you don't.
Like,
Yeah.
And how do you know if you want to be with? And I think like in our like, church also creates a lot of casual relationships. Where like you just see people every week, hey, what's going on? But you don't actually get to know them. And so I think I wish I was probably more like proactive in the space of like, if I was interested in somebody, like actually going like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you go on a
100%.
date, are you like asking?
It's question time.
That's what it is.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to know.
What are some of like your basic leading
Yeah,
questions?
That's good.
I don't know. I mean, depending on how much I know about them already.
Yeah.
Usually like family, like where they grew up, like siblings, obviously, like what they want to do with their life, what they're doing with their life, what they enjoy, those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Have you ever like, do you want to date like another musician or another singer? That's not a big deal to you.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
I like when there's like, we can talk about similar things, but
Yeah.
also, to be honest, I don't. At this point, I'm 30.
Does your imagination run wild sometimes and you see yourself on the road with like a girl like Johnny Cash and like June Carter
Yeah.
or like like what are some other duos like Beyonce and Jay-Z or
Janet
like
Brian Johnson,
Brian.
Well, that's a great
Katie
one.
and
Yeah.
Brian Torwell.
Do you want to be like them?
Carrie and Cody?
He just said 3. Yeah. You're bringing up the most. You just said, do you want to be like
Brian and
Beyonce and
Bobby.
Jay-Z, to be clear? And then he goes,
No,
Cody and
here was
Carrie.
my question. Do you want to be more like Cody and Carrie?
Yeah.
Or more like Jay and Beyonce?
Or like Blake Shelton and Gwen.
Yeah, that's the third triangle.
Right.
Like, which one do you see yourself more like? Like probably Cody and Carrie.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Probably more
Mogul
Cody and Carrie.
or Minister.
Yeah, Mogul
I
or
like
Minister.
Beyonce and Jay-Z setup. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, you're really similar to them.
Yeah, thank you. I wish. I don't know. I mean, dude, that
And
sounds
for
fun,
your
though.
children and the children and the children. Come on, babe. And the blessing. And honey, sing it louder. Nothing bad. Like if
would
I
be
was
I mean, I
Though.
love them. They're a great couple too.
Oh my gosh, they're
That's
the best.
amazing.
If I was like up on the stage, one time I was watching this preacher, his name is Jimmy Swaggart, and I was watching him on late night, like Christian TV, and his grandson was preaching. And his grandson was preaching the house down, but he sat on the stage and he had his microphone on.
Yeah.
And he like was responding to his preaching, but he had he's like,
Everyone
that's
could-
good.
Everyone could hear.
Yeah, that's good. Come on, that's good.
It was in the house.
Preach that. I'm like, I love this. Like you're giving
sick.
feedback, but you're in the house with a microphone. I feel like if you're leading worship with your wife, like, come on, babe, take that verse. Like,
Yeah, I think you have
I mean,
to.
Like,
you're,
I'm like,
you're asking him.
come
when
on,
you turn
darling.
the question around. Like,
Come on,
you've been,
darling.
You've been preaching with Dawn Tree
But we
a
don't
little bit.
sing together. I'm
no,
sure if
no,
I was
no,
singing,
Is that
like-
is that like a dream come true for
Yes,
you? Like preaching
yes.
with her? For real?
I'm like, DC, take the bridge. Preaching or sing? I want to sing with her.
You would rather sing, eh?
Yes. Yes.
You can.
Baby girl, take the bridge.
I think that would be cool.
Honey, take
know?
the chorus.
I like it. I like the idea of that.
Sister, take the verse.
It's just to take the verse.
Well, I wouldn't call her sister.
So it's not like a thing that's like
Dear God.
actually a part of your list, but
I mean, it's
it
great.
feels like
Yeah.
it would be nice though. For
I
you.
think so. Yeah.
That's cool.
I think because because
So date more. Anything
no,
else?
that's the word.
you know what I mean by that.
I
though,
know what you
right? I
mean,
don't
but
mean
Dakota
going
takes
like,
that
you
down
really
and-
think that that's bad language that I'm using? I feel like that's what
Date
he said.
more?
Get to know people more intentionally.
Until
think
you
he's
like
saying-
pulled me up on that, I meant it more just like don't be afraid to take
Yeah.
people on dates.
yeah.
Like don't date. I mean,
I think
You
people
know
have
what I mean.
loaded definitions of what they think dating means.
I just mean, like,
I think
create
getting to know
opportunities.
people.
create
to
opportunities
get to know
Yeah,
people.
like don't go on like 100 dates in a week
Yes,
or
that's
like
better
that's
language.
ridiculous. Like that would be insane.
Bro.
Only do 90.
Only 90 is good.
Just 90.
Don't go on 100 dates in a week. I love it.
Like you know what I mean though.
Yeah.
I want to clarify that I don't mean.
No, I know what you mean.
We-
It's just Dakota
Clarify.
when he starts summing up like
I
your
know, it's
points.
insane.
It's like, so number one, you said
It's
date
not insane,
more.
number one.
Number two,
That's
you want to be like
crazy,
Jay-Z and
and that's
Beyonce.
crazy.
And lastly, darling, take the verse.
Oh, that
Baby
was-
girl on the bridge.
I was gonna try to harmonize.
And
I
your
can't.
family and your children. So what we're really wondering though,
Mm-hmm.
dead serious now, Aodhán, because we're talking about
So
maturing.
I've been serious the whole time.
I know, sorry, but I haven't. Last 17 minutes, I was somewhere else. I was in the third heaven. Have you seen this guy who does like auto-tune comedy? I keep wanting to send these clips to you. It's really funny to me. What would
Jesus
you
Christ! That guy?
No.
Oh,
I'll send you a clip later. Aodhán, what would you say right now, 31 years of age, living in LA, all the stuff that you're doing, what is an area that you feel like, I don't know, that you want to mature in? What do you feel like is an area that God is maturing you in right now? Maybe one or the other, like.
I think a big thing for me probably is like being more decisive is a huge thing for me. I think the stuff we talked about earlier, like I create too many options out of things.
Yeah.
Like whether it be from the smallest thing like clothes to eating, like what I'm going to eat. I spend too much time focusing on those things. I want to get more disciplined. Like I could stare at a menu for 2 hours if you let me. I would do that.
Is it similar to songwriting in that way? You feel like it's hard for you to decide how a song should go, or it's not that way in other areas?
It used to be like that for me. Songwriting was so hard for that reason because I couldn't decide on anything. I'm getting better at that, but I think just more in general in life. I think because having like structure actually has being removed has been wild. So trying to work out how do I like be better at making decisions. That's one thing.
I think your awareness to that is massive because that is the start of any solution is an awareness to a problem. I'm not even saying that you have a problem.
Yeah.
You're more describing it as a problem for yourself, but an awareness to that going, oh, I actually thrived or I felt more fulfilled or more peace in structure. Now, just at your age, it just means that you have to self-impose that structure upon you. I also think things like small decisions, that is a big, huge distraction. And there's a reason why some of the greatest geniuses in the world, like Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg, they just wore a uniform every day of the week.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Not because they couldn't afford more clothes or that they, just because I don't want to spend any brain power thinking about this small thing. And one of the smart things that anybody can do in their life is like, what decisions can I automate? There was a long time where I just ate this, and most often, Pilar's in here, most often I kind of eat the same thing most lunch. It's like salmon and broccoli or chicken and broccoli. It's more like an automated decision that we're not spending or wasting time trying to figure out what are you going to eat. That's what that menu thing is. In the world that we live in right now, so many options.
I know that's the thing.
So many choices. And what people don't realize is that indecision is a decision.
Yes. Yes.
And so when you stay undecided, you stay divided. And where we really actually begin to get confidence, where we find contentment, is when we have clarity and conviction. And I think a big part of all of us maturing is, what are the things I'm convicted about? What are the things that I'm clear about? What are the things that I'm unclear about? And any there that I'm unclear about, if I don't surrender that over to God and figure that out, I'm going to find myself insecure. I'm going to find myself not getting momentum. When you think about indecision in your life right now, those small ones, those are like little habits. Is there anything that you feel like is there any big gaps that you feel like you need to close up for deeper confidence or deeper contentment in this season that you can identify right now? Or would it all be more on the smaller things?
I think it's just generally, I think my mind, and this is not like, I'm not trying to make like this a good thing, but I think like I always become so creative with thought. So it'd be like, should I go to the bathroom now? But then I'll be like, well, I could go in 2 minutes and that might give me like more time to just like chill for a second. Or if I go right now, then I'll start doing that. I like to create a story out of every scenario. And so I'm trying to get rid of that because I could do that on anything. So from the biggest things, yeah, for sure. Like, where am I going to live? Well, I can create a scenario for Miami, LA, Sydney, London. I can do that and make it look insane in my head. And so that I just need to learn to just kind of not do that as much.
Do you catastrophize as well?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of like think the worst.
Yep.
Yeah, usually. I have that's big.
Which one do you lean towards more, catastrophizing or glorifying?
Oh, I mean,
see what I'm saying? Like, are you writing a beautiful story that's like false, or are you writing a negative story that's false? Is there one that you lean towards more?
It used to be worse. Now it's like positive.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the same. It's because then I start putting unreal expectations on things, and I'm not actually just like, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, totally. So I'll draw these images, and then it's never living up to that, or it's whatever. I'm not giving room to God to just do what He wants to do, which has been big for me.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to being indecisive, I totally resonate with that, by the way. And for me, I've been trying to figure out when my brain is at its best, when it thinks it's most creative. If I'm writing a sermon, if I'm creating content for VU College, if I'm trying to plan the year for VU High. And what I've noticed is sometimes for some projects, having a timeline, like that I'm really close to the deadline, it brings out the best in me.
Yeah, same.
And then other times, being too close to the timeline, my mind can go to like the serious stuff, but like the beautiful, creative, like my mind can't go there. So I've been trying to manage my time and my deadlines where I'm like, in order to make this decision and actually make the best decision for me, I actually need to be far away from this thing. Or I actually need to go, hey, I'm going to wait a little bit. It's going to come to me. I'm talking to my leaders. I need to know what's happening right then to know what to share with them. I don't know about you, whenever you're leading a community, whenever you're casting vision, what your thoughts are on that. But I believe that sometimes we're making so many, I don't like when I set myself up to make so many little decisions. Sometimes I like to set myself up where I make a bunch of little decisions at one point and then just execute them.
Yeah. Decision fatigue is a massive thing. And I think that as your life grows, what you're describing, I think, is such a real thing. And part of growing up is recognizing the world that we live in today, we're just being inundated with choices and decisions. And we don't realize that every decision is costing us something.
Yes.
And I love this whole concept of like the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. And so a practice that I have when it comes to certain decisions is like, is this a faith decision? Is this spirit-led or is this flesh-led? And a simple framework is just to say, all right, as I'm making this decision, am I doing so out of love? Am I doing so out of patience? Am I doing so with kindness? All of those things help me to go, I'm being led by the Spirit as opposed to being led by the flesh. Now, choosing what I'm going to have for lunch is what I'm trying to say. These are automated decisions. I think part of growing up and part of living the life that you're living, you're going to get trapped or you're going to get ruined with anxiety and spinning out if you don't figure out a way to quickly make those decisions, you know what I'm saying? But it's the big ones in life that can tackle us and make us tumble. And catastrophizing, I think we all can fall victim to that, you know? Like, I think the idea of me running out, like, do I have enough? And I'm trying to get more. And so like something can be going really great right now, but it's like, will I have enough tomorrow? And I think that the practices that we have to remind ourselves are all found in God's word. It's like, he's our daily bread.
There you go.
Not our yearly bread, not our annual bread, not a lifetime. It's like the daily bread.
Yeah.
And so the more you learn about God is that he's just right here in today. He's in the present, not in yesterday, not in tomorrow. He's here now. And I just try to remind myself of that simple truth. Otherwise, I will catastrophize. Otherwise, I will be like, this is going to go wrong, and it's all going good now, and tomorrow's going to all go bad.
Yep.
And I'm just very, very proud of the man that you are, proud of who you continue to become. I think you're a gift to all your friends, all the people that meet you and know you. You're a blast to be around. But I really believe that God's deposited something into your life that as he does put this pressure on you at times, as he squeezes your life, good things come out of it. And the songs that you've written, the theology that you brought to the forefront, the truths that you've reminded so many people of, I just think that Scripture says as you refresh others, you're going to be refreshed. And so I just encourage you with that as you're continuing to grow. You're 31 and you've already done so much. And I know it's probably been a really weird season, and we kind of talked about that a little bit today, but the best really is in front of you.
No doubt.
And my friend Pastor Steven says, you're not stuck unless you stop. That's just the truth. It's like, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Your calling is actually calling you. It's summoning you. It's bringing you into the forefront. It's going to get clarified. You know what you're not. Maybe you'll stumble into exactly who he's called you to be. A lot of my life has looked that way. And maybe you're watching today and you're saying, I find myself in that same place maybe where Aiden's at times, going with some maybe indecision or having to get some conviction around which decisions matter most right now. I think today, as I'm reflecting on our conversation, man, this whole idea that the restrictions in our life, the structures in our life, sometimes we're so ready to throw those things off or throw those to the wayside. Man, I'm grateful on the freeway today that there was guardrails, because if I was to sway, if I was to swerve, there's going to be something that stops me from going over the cliff. That's what guardrails, parameter structure does. It actually helps us drive faster and further and safer. And so maybe for you, as you're growing up right now, as you're maturing, maybe there's some things you need to add to your life, some structures for your protection. I think as you apply those things and add those things to your life, it's going to lead to a better life. We love you, Aodhán. Thank you for being with us today.
Guys. Thanks for having me.
Leave us some comments in the comment section about what you loved. If you've got any questions for us, we're going to be right back here very, very soon with some more Mature Me. Like, subscribe, share. We love all of you very, very much. And we'll see you next time. Dakota and I. Peace.
We love you.